What's good, y'all? We are back again with another episode of Reddit Stories, episode 2, whatever language. Of course, this is PSEUDOTV, and I drop new episodes every Monday. So today we're going to get into some Reddit stories. We're going to jump right into them. Let's take a look at what we got. All right, our first story. Am I the asshole for not complimenting my wife so that she won't become vain? Bruh. Context. My wife, a 29-year-old female, and I, a 31-year-old male, have been together for 10 years. We share 3 children, 9, 7, 5. My wife was never someone to really dress up or to put too much thought into her looks. She's always been beautiful, but never did much to highlight it until recently. She went through this crisis of feeling like she didn't have a personality outside of being a mom. Something like that. Something like that? So for the last 2 years, she started traveling more, joining different groups, dressing really nicely, and wearing makeup. I never realized how much of a difference it would make, but people treat her completely different. She's constantly getting complimented, told she should be in magazines. She'll come home and happily tell me about the random stranger who was so nice to her. She randomly gets gifts. Lady at her job bought her a book series she was interested in. She gets hit on when we go out. All of these dudes want to buy her drinks. Even my family has noticed. And all of a sudden, it seems like they're wondering how I ended up with her. Come on, dog. Honestly, it's a bit overwhelming for me and something I'm just not used to. It's kind of become annoying. Anyways, she was going out with friends and she asked me how she looked. I just said, fine. She seemed disappointed with this. My sister was over and commented that I should hype her up. I said, why, when the world already does? That I don't want her thinking too highly of herself and becoming more vain. My sister looked shocked and said that's effed up. Said that's low-key abusive and I'm an asshole. I think she's overthinking it but decided to get outside opinions. So am I the asshole? Oh, brother. If you can't handle the baddie, don't be with the baddie. Yes, you're the asshole 1,000 times over. Just because she's getting compliments from other people, it doesn't mean that she wants compliments from other people. I completely understand her feeling like her only personality was being a mom and her going out to find her individual self. I love that for her. But the thing is for you to not compliment her strictly because you don't want her to become more vain. If she's not getting that reassurance that she's a baddie from you, her husband, she's going to find it elsewhere. And she's going to end up leaving you because you're not treating her like the teen that she is. The verdict by the crowd was he's the asshole. Because yes, of course, let's just treat her as if she doesn't matter and that she's oh so ugly and she's never beautiful so she can be constantly reminded that other people actually find her attractive. Are you dumb? Your wife deserves to have her own self-worth and to be beautiful outside of the parameters that you have built for her. It's giving insecure too. Like maybe you need to see a therapist about this because it's giving a little jealousy and insecure, and honestly that's not going to do anything but make her run away from you. Final verdict, asshole. Next caller. Am I the asshole for siding with my kid against my wife? Immediately yes. It's supposed to be a union, a connection, education connection. I'm a 44-year-old male, wife a 42-year-old female, and I have 3 kids. Let's call them Josh, Megan, and Sharon. Josh is the oldest. My wife has always enforced strict rules. The relevant rule here is her rule around chores. She has a list of chores for the kids to complete weekly before Saturday morning. Number 1, make your bed. Number 2, do your laundry. Number 3, do the dishes. Number 4, take out the trash. Number 5, vacuum the living room. Number 6, clean their rooms. And number 7, clean their shared bathroom. Each week, the wife will assign communal chores to each kid, and each one is responsible for their individual chores like cleaning their own room. These chores are assigned ahead of the week, and if they're not done by Saturday morning, they can kiss their weekend plans goodbye. They're not grounded, but the wife revokes their privileges to hang out with friends until the chores are done. Josh has entered his rebellious phase, and he's really been pushing his limits recently. This weekend, he had plans to go snowboarding with his friends. He assured his mom and me that his chores would be done this morning. Come today, Saturday, the dishes haven't been touched, his laundry remains in the hamper, and you can't walk through his room. He was fully decked out in his snow gear, and when wife asked him what he thought he was doing, he grinned and proudly announced he came up with a plan. He made an agreement with his sisters that if they did his chores today, he would do all of the communal chores the following week. Sound like some sibling shit for real. I thought this showed good problem solving. Wife felt differently. She said that this was not the agreement. He started to bargain and negotiate with wife, growing increasingly desperate and frustrated. Trying to be a mediator, I asked wife if it is really necessary to revoke his ski trip. He found a way to make it work so the chores get done and we teach our kids to keep our commitments. And he made a commitment to his friends to go snowboarding with them. My son couldn't have looked happier in that moment. Wife was floored. She said he came up with this plan without running it by her. It might be a different story if he brought the solution to her last night, but he's just trying to do a end run around us. I don't know what an end run is. She said he could not go. End of story. This is where I might be the asshole. Unable to control his anger, he yelled out, "F you" to wife. Oh. These ain't black people. You could hear a pin drop in that moment. I was so caught off guard by this outburst, I started laughing and couldn't stop. Wife looked at me with betrayal. Then she quietly grabbed her purse and walked out of the house. I know I shouldn't have lost my composure, but I honestly am not sure if I'm the asshole for siding with my son. Wife's rules seemed a little unreasonable given the weight of the outcome. First of all, this is your wife, your partner. Everything you're doing, you're supposed to be on a united front. Whether it's parenting, going out to dinner, arguing with family members, whatever, y'all are supposed to look like a unit, cohesive unit, and when in private, y'all can discuss y'all differences. This was one of those moments where you probably should have just shut your ass up and let her handle this. She already told him no. You didn't have to jump in and do any type of validating. Now, the kids saying F you to your mama, this ain't even about being grounded at this point. This is about me being in the ground. I wish I would ever say F you to anybody that was older than me at that time. I'm getting my ass toe up from the flow up and I ain't gonna be able to get up. That don't make no sense. You should have whooped his ass and you standing there laughing, giggling, completely undermining your wife's authority. Yes, you are definitely the asshole. And I don't know what an end run is, but I was reading the comments. The end run is basically like the runaround, basically trying to get it, basically trying to weasel your way out of the situation or whatever. But he's definitely the asshole. I definitely hope that he stayed his ass home and didn't go no snowboarding because he didn't complete his chores. Mind you, chores are the simplest ways to show kids responsibility and train them to let them know that they have to do A to get to B. That's kind of how adulting works. Now, Dad, I'm just gonna say, yeah, you're the asshole. And then laughing, oh, the laughing was so bad. But yeah, final verdict, asshole. Next caller. This is a Am I the Jerk? Am I the Jerk is funny. Am I the jerk for telling the previous owner of my house that she can't come pick fruit from my tree anymore? Why was she picking fruit from your tree in the first place? Anyway, I bought my house last summer and there's a big plum tree in the backyard. A few weeks after moving in, the previous owner messaged me saying her late mother planted it and asked if she could come collect some of the plums when they were ready. Oh, okay. I said sure because I understood the sentimental part. That's fair. When she came over, she brought her husband 2 buckets and a ladder. They picked nearly every ripe plum, including branches hanging over my patio, and left a bunch of broken twigs and fruit on the ground. I barely got any myself. Apparently, her family had used those plums to make jam every year for almost 20 years. Okay. She contacted me again, asking what weekend she can come this year. I told her I planned on keeping the fruit this time since the tree is on my property and I actually want to make something with it. She got pretty upset and said I knew the tree had meaning to her family. She even offered me a few jars of jam, but that isn't really the point. I spent a lot of money from stake fixing up this yard and I don't want people treating part of it like it still belongs to them. My sister thinks I should let her take 1 bucket because it's a family tradition and cost me nothing. I feel bad about the connection to her mom, but I also don't think buying a house means the old owner gets yearly access to whatever they miss. Am I the jerk? Ooh, this is a hard one. Because there's a moral dilemma, a sentimental dilemma that everybody can resonate with a little bit. There's the big picture perspective of this too. You sold the house is no longer yours. The tree is on my property now. I do like what the sister suggested, like a sort of compromise. You know, you give her a bucket of plums and she make do with what she can get. Because to pick every damn plum off my tree and then leave a mess behind. Yeah, as the past owner, there's a lot of no-nos going on up in here. So I definitely agree with the OP, original poster. I agree with the OP that just because the tree is still on the property doesn't mean the old owners like get to come back and do it whenever they want to. You sold the house. You knew the tree was there. If you really love the tree so much, you could have, I guess what, dug it up and planted it where you at now. I don't know. I will say that the OP should be honest and just directly tell the lady instead of saying no, just a blatant no. Now, she doesn't have to give a reasoning, but I think because of the sentimental value, it would mean much more if she gave a reason to her no. She could literally blatantly just say, hey, I wasn't very appreciative of how you cleaned out all of the plums last year and left a mess in the wake of you doing that. So forgive me if I'm a little hesitant to allow you to come back this year. Maybe we could find a compromise. Maybe this could happen, you know? And it is fruit, so I assume that it takes some time to come to, you know, ripeness or whatever. So for her to come in and pick every single ripe one and leave all the old crusty ones was kind of like messed up. This all just needed a little more communication. My final verdict is not the jerk because this is your house and you can do what you like. I will suggest that you handle it with a little more tact than you are currently doing with just a blatant no. If you can relate on any front to the sentimental part and understand it like you previously said, then you could do it with a little more grace. And that's that. Next caller. All right, our last story. Am I the asshole for telling my best friend that I'm not gay and don't like him in a romantic way? Ooh, we with the girls. Okay. I'm a 25-year-old guy, and I have a gay best friend, 24, who I've known since we were teenagers around 13 or 14. To cut straight to the chase,
adolescence
was a messy time full of hormones and confusion. We have a somewhat complicated platonic relationship. I will always believe he's the love of my life, but in a completely non-romantic way. Nobody knows me like he does, and nobody knows him like I do. But I'm straight. When we were younger, we ended up kissing a few times, but we never talked about it. It just happened. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but we also slept together and did other things as part of exploring our sexuality. I'll say it again. I'm straight. Adolescence was just confusing for me. I've always been into women. I've had a couple of girlfriends over the years, but honestly, I'm not a long-term relationship kind of guy that never lasted or worked out for me. What I had with him was just two young lads messing around because we were losers who trusted each other completely. I've always been clear about where I stood within the boundaries we had. We never had a serious conversation about what we were doing, but back then I made sure he knew, one way or another, that I'm attracted to women. I want to marry a woman, have kids with her, and start a family. That doesn't mean my relationship with my best friend hasn't always been intense. The memories of our teenage adventures are ones I hold very dear, but they don't mean anything more than the depth of what we share, okay? A few weeks ago, though, he asked me what all of this, everything we are and were, actually meant to me. I don't know how the topic came up, but I was honest. I told him that I've always been into women and that I love him in a platonic way, like it's always been. He didn't take it well. We argued and he told me I couldn't be so irresponsible with my actions and other people's feelings. On that point, I agree. I should have been clearer from the start, but I can't turn back time to a conversation that never happened. I'm being honest now, today. Honestly, I don't know what answer he was expecting, but my answer wasn't going to change under any circumstances. He knows I'm straight, we experimented a bit in high school, early university, and that was that. I don't think our friendship is in danger, but he's the most important person in my life, and I was an idiot in the way I expressed myself. Even so, I still think I did the right thing by making clear what was always obvious. Okay. Let me preface this by saying it is completely normal to experiment in high school, in your youth years, and even in college and things, and then determine that, hey, this is not for you. So let's go ahead and get that out of the window. Now, I will say, you phrasing this as if, it is strictly platonic. I do know of friendships and relationships like this that can be completely platonic and things like that. But I do think it was your responsibility to let him know sooner that this is just platonic, and more direct, like you're doing it now. I won't call you the asshole right now because I'm trying to think of you definitely did the right thing by making it very clear, but you're kind of the asshole in trying to say that it was always obvious. Now, if you guys are doing things like you said, you guys kissed and actually had sexual encounters and stuff like that, that might be something that he holds near and dear to him. So it would have been on you to maybe say, like, yes, it would have been assholey, but it would have been on you to create new boundaries and say, hey, this was experimental for me. I still love you. I still care for you and respect everything that you got going on. But this is something that I don't resonate with anymore. Now, you are the asshole if you're continuing to give him signs and signals, basically saying, oh, this might happen in the future. This might happen further down the line. Now, you never said that you were doing anything like that, but the only reason I feel like he would have gotten so mad with you telling him off was basically because he was reading the situation wrong. And people can do things that, easily come off misinterpreted. This is your best friend, so you probably assumed that you guys were on the same page based on the conversations that you had. But also, it's like you said, you guys never had any direct conversations about what was going on or what you were doing. So you can't assume that he knew that this was completely platonic. At some point, you guys have to sit down with each other and create like this healthy, like a healthy framework boundary type of thing that works specifically for this dynamic and relationship. I will say that you do say you are straight a lot, and it feels like in this paragraph that I just read, you feel like it sounds like that you're trying to prove more to yourself that you're straight than to the crowd. Like we don't care. Like you already said you straight, and that's the premise of this whole story. Sexuality is not the issue here, though. Like, the issue is that you didn't clearly explain to him that you guys were strictly platonic, and that he may be making dreams up in his head about you two ending up together, and that's not fair to him. So if you want to be a good friend, definitely maintain the truth, but also you guys need to have a harsh conversation about that framework of your friendship. I guarantee once one of you get into a serious relationship with a person that you may deem as the love of your life, this might come back to bite you in the ass if you guys do not hunker down on a framework. So my final verdict will be, you are kind of the asshole, kind of not the asshole. You're only not the asshole because you finally gave it to him straight. And yes, a lot of emotions were involved in that, but you are kind of the asshole for not speaking up sooner. If this is somebody you care about, you don't want to play with the person's emotions, okay? And that will be a wrap for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. That was our final story. If you guys want to see more stories, definitely tap in Mondays. I will be dropping more Reddit stories. And as usual, if you guys ever have any stories you specifically want me to read, use the form at the link in my bio, and you can go ahead and drop the link, whether that be a Reddit story, a YouTube video, a new song that you just dropped, any type of content you want me to react to, go ahead and put it on there. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all the things, and I will catch you guys later. PSEUDOTV.